All right, John, I need you to sell something for us here.
Okay.
So, been selling a bunch of stuff on Marketplace, moving out. So there's this chair that Dylan used to have with his roommate in Philly, just like the old friends, with Chandler and Joey. Go ahead, Dylan. Why don't you set it up? Because it's your thing. I'll plead my case after. Go ahead. He's making the face like he's like, no, you're fucking wrong. You're wrong.
Great
You're
start.
I mean, we've all been on this podcast long enough. Nick doesn't know how to tell a story, and I'm expecting him to butcher this, so this needs to be said properly.
Okay.
When I was young and finding my way in the world, I bought 2 recliners, as any young male adult tends to do. These recliners were electric, and they have a USB on the side, so you could charge your phone and then just hit a button and lean back. It was glorious.
Yeah.
Little did I know when I was younger that it's a lot cheaper to live in Philly than it is to live in the New York City area, as well as the space that you get for said money. So when I moved out of Philly and up north, I had a little trouble fitting both of the recliners in my apartment. Made it work the first time, made it work the second time. Then I moved in with my wife, and she's not a recliner fan. So I knew we needed to hold on to them until we end up getting a house at some point. And Nick needed some, a better recliner, in my opinion, in his apartment. And I said, hey, can you hold on to one, because I can only fit one in the apartment / allowed to keep one right now until I can use it at a later date. So Nick has been looking after it over the past, 2 years, maybe?
Since December of 2020.
3 years. And he is now moving, so he can't hold on to it anymore. So he went full boomer and put it on Facebook Marketplace, found someone, and sold it to them. He also sold it and put it at a price without consulting me. I think we could have gone more because he didn't highlight the best feature about it. But anyway,
it was highlighted in the conversation. Don't worry.
Anyway, he sold it, and now because he sold it, he's trying to take 50% of the money, which to me is blasphemy. I'm not saying he shouldn't get any money, but he doesn't just get 50% of it.
Nick, you're not gonna like my answer here. I think that.
He didn't purchase it. He got a chair for free for 3 years. That's comfortable as hell.
Hang on, I'm sorry. This is America, isn't it? Don't I get a chance to defend myself?
Sure.
Very simple. Is one, Dylan doesn't know the hardship it was moving that thing up to the second floor solo, and the physical pain it literally caused me. I could have taken you to small claims court to pay for my going to physical therapy for my back after that.
Did you know that the back comes off so you could split into 2 pieces and carry it?
Yeah, I did. And when we tried to move it out of your apartment, we couldn't do it because it's a little jacked.
Semantics.
Anyway, 2, had it for 3 years. Your now wife said, that is never coming back into my house. So you were never getting it back. She, on multiple occasions, just in her Snapchat, saying, just sold it. She goes, outstanding.
Well, joke's on you. We don't live in a house and don't have a house, so that's completely fine.
Because your words, not mine. Hold this for me till I get a house and more space for this.
Correct, which will end up happening, but now it can't because you've robbed me of that.
I'm sorry, I consulted you. We
this is worse. This is worse than when you told me Santa Claus wasn't real.
That is true. That's a true story.
In my opinion, your best defense is the Alex Tucker defense here. She's gonna have the ultimate word anyway. But
I could have said no, Dylan.
I don't even want to know the numbers. I think that it's. I think it's a little snaky to want any of the money. You did a task that he did not ask you to do.
Dylan, you don't realize that you got 3 years of hope out of this, brother. Because when you moved in with Alex, she wanted it gone. The fact that you got to even have the idea of hope for 3 years is
sales. I could have pitched her to keep it. I'm not worried about that.
How's that going for you so far?
Well, I don't have a chance. You robbed me of it.
Yeah.
By the way, we consulted in this. I told you I'm selling it, and you said fine. Let's split it. So I think we each get $25. That's what we're arguing over.
He's buying me 7 beers next weekend. That's what I've determined.
Love it. That's a good end place. Damn, $50. How much did it cost originally?
for each one, I don't know, probably like 200, 225.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I found my bill from Raymour and Flanagan. All my furniture, I spent like $1,900 on it, and I'm selling this shit for fucking $40 just to get rid of it and make any money.
Furniture, unless you buy like really actually nice shit, which is super expensive, it just to get it out of the house is such a pain.
And telling them you come to my house and pick it up.
Yeah, that's the worst.
The NAFTA podcast.
Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
All right, NAFTA podcast, episode 173. It's myself, it's Dylan, it's Nick. We got the Tucker brothers in the house. First things first, before we pick our next member of U.S. Soccer Media to disparage and get on our podcast, we're all going to be in Philly next week for the Premier League weekend, whatever extravaganza tour that is going to be in, I believe, Philly, Atlanta, New York. Oddly enough, we're not going to the New York one. We're traveling down 95 to Philly. We're seeing Brighton, Chelsea. We're seeing, I can't believe I'm going to attempt to figure out the other games. I believe it's Newcastle, Villa, and then Fulham.
Bees.
And, yeah, Brentford. So, honestly, got really lucky with who came over in this tour. They're all pretty interesting teams. But we're going to be out there. We're going to have mini microphones, going to be recording some questions that we're asking people. And then next week, hopefully, depending on how quickly I can edit it, we'll be on the pod, we'll be on the YouTube, we'll be on the social medias. I'm sure people are not oversaturated with the content that we pushed out last week. But keep that in mind and look for it as well. Are you guys pumped?
Yeah, I'm very excited.
A lot of enthusiasm.
Yeah,
I love it.
I can't see Dylan's facial reactions, in that Instagram filter he's got going on right now.
Yeah, I will say this: the viewing situation on Dylan right now is actually the direct opposite of Carrie Lake. Carrie Lake, for anyone that knows that, has like that very odd filter going that you can see every pore in her face. And Dylan, you're like trying to.
I'm doing the informant look tonight because
yeah.
I don't know how to get the lighting in the new apartment figured out. So it is what it is.
It's preseason. You're figuring out the kinks right now, dude.
Yeah, so I have a month to get this all sorted.
Yeah.
I'm just like everyone else who's coming to America for these preseason games.
I do like the informant setup though, where if we really start like pissing you off and you have to start questioning Nick, most likely you just move your head and the bright light is gonna take us out a little bit, and then we'll go from there.
I'll move so you can see the light when I actually want to talk. Make it easier that way.
I think the real question is what's the over-under line on stickers that we throw around that place?
Oh, I know. So I don't know if John mentioned this or not. Oh, I don't think he has, obviously, on the pod. But John's been to Philly, I think, a few times, but has only done like the nice bougie parts of Philly that some might say that actually don't exist. Exactly. You're welcome to teach you up on that.
We've done Instagram brunch Philly.
Yeah. So I told John I'm going to bring us. I have a dive bar tour prepared for us leading into the game on Saturday. Including a stop at John's Roast Pork because they're closed on Sundays, so we need to make sure we get that on Saturday.
Okay.
But there are going to be bathrooms galore for us to throw up the stickers and just get people to just start,
love that,
surpassing our Alexi Lalas numbers.
I'm breaking my sobriety for next week. I'm not obviously, I don't think I mentioned this at all, but I have to run is a different way I'd describe it actually. I'm running the New York Marathon, and I had to get my first couple weeks of training in solid. So I haven't drank in 3-4 weeks or so. So the first beer is going to taste pretty good. I'm not going to lie.
He'll do one. He'll do one.
I'm just gonna leave you with this because Nick knows the fact that you've been sober then for 3 or 4 weeks, and then you're gonna have a beer and we're gonna take you to Xfinity. I'm very excited to see you ride the bull.
Yeah.
Just get prepared.
You are gonna be in an Xfinity. Not being a Philly sports fan, Xfinity Live might be one of the cooler pre-athletic event spots outside of a tailgate with your friends that you could probably go to.
And they give candy in the bathroom.
And you can go ride ride a mechanical bull and beat Michael in it and have bragging rights.
I'm just pumped to be able to use my really bad Philly accent and say I'm going to the Xfinity the entire weekend, which I'm sure will get old after a while.
Dude, don't go too hard on the O's, man. That was too hard on the O's and the vowels there.
I'll figure out the kinks. Let's start the most logical place to start. Obviously, everyone that listened to the pod last week knows that we talked to Alexi Lalas. Did we secure a guest on the best of terms of a podcast to be able to do that? Who's to say? But we did have him. It was a great podcast. I'm sure that everyone who listened last week is also tuning in right now. But Dylan, you didn't get to jump on the pod. You didn't get to feel the nervous energy that I think was buzzing all around beforehand. Wanted to get your thoughts on your listen and how you feel like we did and where we might have let him off the hook a little bit.
I thought it was a good showing, to be honest. I expected there to be more body bags by the end of it, and there weren't. So I think that's just a win for you guys. I think I appreciate the Jim Curtin shout out. I think that was the highlight for me in it. And I appreciate the NAFTA difference of not speaking a single thing about the upcoming USA game while we had him on, or bringing up the World Cup for the women too. So, always coming well prepared. But I thought overall you guys did really well, and I think Nick is fully in love at this point, just liking everything Alexi Lalas.
It was one time, guys. I'm just trying to follow up and make sure he doesn't forget us when we want that beer.
Nick is Lalas said I'd rather be doing this in a bar, and Nick took that to heart. He was like, well, I'll be there.
I'm a man of the people. I want to hang out and talk soccer with people.
I will say the one thing you let him off the hook on was John. Like, you gave a quick yes to go on his podcast, and then he used some fancy words, and you forgot to ask a second time to confirm that. So just want to make sure you follow up there.
Valid. I did think we were getting somewhere when he just goes, "You want to go on?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And then he did finesse me out of me getting to even follow up on it. I feel like I think that there's a lot of pomp and circumstance about we're the difference in American soccer. We need to keep doing what we're doing. Yada yada yada. I did get enamored by the words, and then I think I just forgot to secure the bag, so to speak, on that one. I was disappointed you weren't on there. I wanted the whole team, but I'm hoping that we'll have more intriguing, more interesting guests on in the future as well. I think we actually did a pretty good job at interviewing, and he did he gave us so much time. It was insane. Like, we asked what time he had to get out of there, and he was like, I have nothing going on. I think he was just packing for Australia, to be totally honest. So, cool experience for sure. Any last words, Nick, Dylan, on it?
I mean, yeah, it was pretty cool, man. I mean, just to get to that experience, and I will second that. A couple of friends that do podcasts and a couple of friends that work in media say that we did a pretty good job interviewing, especially for our first time. So, the old snaps to us.
Yeah, there you go. Speaking of not asking the in-studio commentator to talk about the competition that he was in studio for, the Gold Cup, the United States fell to Panama 1-1 in the semis on penalty kicks. Mexico ended up beating Jamaica, which I think everyone on the pod had a dark horse bet on Jamaica maybe getting to the finals and winning, but they won pretty handily, 3-0. I think they had a goal in the first 2 minutes. And then Mexico took home the Gold Cup with a 1-0 win over Panama. I believe that was played on Sunday. I'll put my hand up first before I kick it to you guys. I think I might have jinxed the United States. When we broke with Lalas and did our final section, I said there is no shot we should be losing to Panama. They stink. I saw Panama play in person. They are not good. But I think when you trot out your C team, we're not an excuses pod. I want to say that first. But when you trot out your C, B team out there, I don't know what your expectations should be. So let's start there. Dylan, I'll go to you first since you didn't get to be on the last one. What should we be thinking as U.S. men's national team fans after this showing? Where's your head at?
I think it was obviously not a success because we want to win everything we're in. However, I think it was good to see which players should not come back and which players I think actually, did some things well and should be given a shot still. And kind of, open the door more for us. I think we have a lot of young talent still coming up and open the door for that as opposed to just keep trotting out like some of these same guys that may not even make the 25-man roster when it's all said and done in 26. Like I think basically it was a position battle camp and we got some answers, which is a positive. I also want to throw out there, just in regards to the game, that Panama absolutely deserved to win that game too. We were sleepwalking.
Yeah, for sure. I think you hit it right on the head before I kick it to Nick. This tournament eliminated people more than it elevated people, in my mind, for sure. One thing I'll say and it pains me to say this, you all know this. Matt Turner is maybe one of the best keepers that is playing right now, or the hottest. I don't know what his future needs to be, but I hope he gets some time with Arsenal this year, actually, or goes somewhere where he's going to play a lot more, because I think that's going to be key for all these players in the next 2 years, 3 years, is they got to play consistently. Nick, what are your thoughts, Gold Cup-wise?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely going to blame you for the loss. I think it's pretty easy. I'm okay to scapegoat like that, but I only got to see the second half and then an added time. I mean, you have to have some credit to the boys for bouncing back, to put a ball in the back net right away. Granted, it took a hell of a shin from Ferreira, which begs the question, who shinned it better, him or Rooney? But we'll save that for another day. But, I mean, it's disappointing because we talked about the depth we really talked about last pod with Alexi, the depth of the U.S. that is so great to see, and all these guys want chances, and what does this do long-term for the current members we have? How much is this really going to push them, knowing that, not that they're going to go out and do their best, but knowing that there's no one really behind them, pushing them for time in 2026. So what does that do? Is it a good thing where, hey, they get comfortable, they really get after it, or can it have a little bit of an adverse effect that there's not? And I'm all in favor of competition. And so a little disappointing in that sense that they couldn't have, not that they should have won or could have won, but pretty disappointing overall run. Because I took your word for gospel when you said they sucked. So,
Oh, they did. They stink. They did play Mexico pretty well, too, though. I think they rise to the occasion. Panama does, that type of team. I kind of agree. I think the one thing that was glaring is the chasm between our A team, or who won the Nations League, and some of these players. It is much bigger than we expected. I can fully stand by that.
Yeah, but I still think we were competitive. It's not like it's a massive drop off. I don't know. Like I said, I still think there's bright spots. I don't know where you guys stand. I love James Sands. Just gonna throw that out there from watching the tournament. Mostly because he has the Brendan Aronson effect and just runs around all over the place doing crazy shit, and I absolutely love it. I'm a hustle guy.
Yeah. He definitely, I think if you had to highlight a few people that played well, obviously we got to kind of eat crow here, Michael and myself. Jesus Ferreira did play really, really well. We never said he was a bad player. We just don't think he's as good as Pepe or Balogun, obviously. I think Sands did play well. A lot of what I've been reading and listening to is that I think that he's at his ceiling and he does not crack that midfield. But if he ends up being the last guy on a 25-man roster, I don't think anyone blinks. I think
he's a good locker room guy.
Probably. That's what you need to. I think the one thing that I'm a little worried about, and Nick, I don't know if you're going to touch on this, but I'll throw it to you afterwards. Like, who backs up Dest? I think that's still really up in the air. Who backs up Robinson? I think it ends up being Dest on the other side if he has to, and then Joe Scally. I think the back four is not solid yet. I think that's somewhere that we need to spend a little bit more time.
I mean, especially do you think Tim Ream is going to make it? Who's obviously, he's playing outstanding. He's great right now, but I mean, another year, maybe 2 years at this level would be, I think, at that age, quite literally being that age would be pretty awesome. Even though Alexi thinks we're both 23, which is amazing. But I was thinking that, and even does Brendan Vasquez get a chance? I don't think he was. You talk about a target man late in the game, someone because we talk about what Ferreira gives is different. He's a shorter guy. He's going to want to get on the ball more. Where you look at Vasquez as more of a traditional 9, get the ball, stand the ball up into the 6, and see what he can do. Is that somebody that when you bring the A team back with the service those boys can put in? Hey, is this a guy we need late in matches? We need a goal. The Marouane Fellaini, Jose Mourinho connection back. Just throw it up there with a 6'3" guy who's clearly built like a brick blank house. Yeah. Sorry, Mr. Whitaker. I'm trying to clean the language up for your mom.
Hey, wait, no, you're good. The funniest thing was my mom calls me after the last podcast, just a quick story, and she goes, "That was amazing. It was incredible. Like, thanks, Mom, da-da-da." And she goes, "You know what the best part was?" And before she even said it, I said, "We didn't cuss once." And she's like, "Yeah, it was incredible." But yes, Brandon Vasquez, brick shit house.
Do you know who's trying to get? Do you know who's trying to get him? By the way, but Cincinnati won't let him go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which means you would like him. Which means you and Michael would like him then, because he'll be in Europe.
Exactly. The thing I was just about to say is I do think one of the things that I'm going to be paying really close attention to over the next year is I personally still believe Balogun's number 1. I think Pepe's number 2 in there. And I think there's going to be a battle for 3. And I don't know how he's going to construct the roster. Maybe we have a 4th striker. Who knows? Whatever. But the development of those 2 guys in parallel is going to be interesting. I know that Ferreira's gotten some looks in Germany as well, based on a couple of errant stories that I've read. But I think they're battling for that 3rd spot, and then would be able to push Pepe if he's not playing as well. But I personally think playing style, I like the Vasquez situation better than like Ferreira. I don't want to shit on him. I think he's a good player, but someone who drops into midfield, I kind of like having our midfield work on their own and circulating the ball and doing what they need to do. But I did say to Michael, I was like, is Jesus Ferreira actually just a really good center attacking mid, and we're just not playing him there? I don't know.
I mean, and you think about with Pulley and Weah on the wings being able to put a ball into the box, or an Aronson getting the ball. I mean, any of those guys getting wide and putting a ball into the box late up top. Like, if you need something, like, I think that is something, especially in knockout competitions, you need that attribute of if there's going to be moments of desperation. And as far as I'm looking, what Balogun is, how tall is he? Yeah, 5'10". I mean, he's the only striker over 6 foot, I think, right? Because Pepe's
6 foot.
6 foot. Well,
yeah, but they're not target guys. To your point, scoring with their head is not something that they do that often. And I think Vasquez, if you can get good service to him, he's a big dude. Like, he's fearless.
Even when he had he missed the net, he finds the ball, which, you know what, to me is a win, especially coming from my Wolves background. It's just nice to see a striker just even touch the ball to kick. So, I don't know. He did everything right in my book.
Yeah, I do think the interesting developing that the U.S. needs to do moving forward is that back four, solidify that, finding a backup to Robinson on that side, and then Ream, to our point, he's getting older. Is he going to be there in 2026? I would hope not, because that means that we did not do the right things to get center backs in there, and then that third striker position I think will be big. My problem with Sands, and not to go back to this, but like the one thing I think we have figured out is that midfield. Like it is Adams, it is Musa, it is McKinney, and then I think you start trying to figure out how to get Reyna in the middle. I still think that was incredible that Callahan set that up and how the chances we started there. So those are our thoughts. My thoughts, at least.
I mean, I agree.
Anything else?
No, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not. When I say I love Sands, I'm not saying I expect him to crack the top starting lineup right now. It's good to have depth.
Also, I mean, he's an MLS guy, so I'm never going to back that.
Yeah. Even when he plays for your
kidding.
team, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
I think no, I did know that. But I'm a playoff NYCFC.
I know
fan,
you
as
are.
know very, very well.
Yeah. You might not make
Speaking
it.
of the MLS, there's bigger news than us calling out the MLS against every other European club and talking to Alexi Lalas about it. They got a pretty good signing. Miami did, a last place team in the East. I know that as well. Sergio Busquets. Kidding. It's Lionel Messi. He was announced, I believe, yesterday as well, Sunday. And the one thing I wanted to ask is there's a lot of videos, a lot of pictures surfacing of him walking through a Publix down in Miami doing some shopping. He had some interesting things in his cart. One mainly being he had the Lucky Charms box, which I'm sure is not sold in Europe because of standards. But what I wanted to ask you guys, you have the opportunity to plan the first day of meals for the greatest soccer player of all time coming to the United States. You get a breakfast, you get a lunch, you get a dinner, maybe a dessert. What is the most American day of eating that you guys would set up for this guy?
While shopping at Publix?
No.
Oh, because I was gonna say crab legs.
This is only if they're stolen by Jameis Winston. There is no holds bar. You can be flying in stuff. Let's pretend this is fantasy world. In your eyes, if you're introducing someone to American food, what is breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a dessert for you?
You're not gonna like my answer.
Hey, you got it? You going?
Yeah, obviously you bring them to Cheesecake Factory that covers everything that's made in America. Don't be silly.
You're doing all three meals at the Cheesecake Factory?
No, but okay, fine. Dinner's at Cheesecake Factory because you can literally choose anything as you can. Lunch, I would go do some, I don't know, Texas barbecue from somewhere.
Okay.
That's a heavy lunch, man.
He's not training that day. Let him live.
He's coming to America. Might as well learn how to get fat quick. Let's get them all into this stuff. And then I want to say Crackle Barrel, but I'm not going to do that. I think you bring them to a Waffle House for breakfast. Just give them the full experience.
Oh, yeah. You went restaurant with this, which I find really interesting because I was just going to do like certain dishes, but I don't
know how to cook well enough to do that, so I need to let him choose what he wants. Like letting him read the novel that is the Cheesecake Factory's menu is a good thing.
Yo, I don't think you're wrong though. I mean, the NBA is notorious to saying that Cheesecake Factory is the most eaten meal on the road for NBA players because it's consistent.
Yeah,
and it is a chapter book.
You ever have Buffalo Blast, man? They're delicious.
Oh, I love the Cheesecake Factory. I hate the bad rap that it has.
They deliver.
Nick, what's your breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert, or you can be like Dylan and do dinner, lunch, breakfast?
Oh, breakfast is definitely a pork roll, egg, and cheese from New Jersey.
Oh my goodness.
Gotcha.
It's not even a question.
I'm actually right there with you. I'm just doing a bacon, egg, and cheese on everything.
Yeah.
That was my thing. But go ahead.
Lunch would well, I know what I'd do for dinner. I'd go. Dylan made a poor choice going with Texas. I would get Joe's in Kansas City barbecue, the best barbecue there is.
That's a heavy meal.
For dinner, it's fine. He's going to sleep right after. And then, and then lunch, since we'll be there, we got to get him a cheesesteak for lunch.
Yeah, I like that.
Where are you going?
It's either that or we're taking
what
him up to
cheesesteak place,
some
Nick?
New Haven pizza.
What cheesesteak
John's
place?
Pork Roast. I'm taking your word for it.
That's fine, but get the name right if you're gonna say it.
Joe's Pork Roast?
No. Oh, never mind. John's Roast Pork.
John's. All right, whatever. I'm sorry. I didn't sample every cheesecake place in Philly.
If you got to do desserts, what do you think is the most American dessert for both of you guys?
Toll House cookie pie.
Okay. All right. That's very specific. I love that. Dylan?
Well, I guess I can't say an ice cream sandwich cake now.
You're selling them now?
I mean, I don't know. Ice cream. Just out of topical news stories today. Ice cream.
Yeah. Are you talking about the CNN report that America
Yes.
doesn't like ice cream?
I had ice- I had ice-
Danielle can go buzz off.
I had ice cream
Piss
6
ahead.
days in a row last week, so.
It's my favorite food in the entire world, ice cream. CNN, fake news as always. All right. Mine is very sandwich based. I knew I could do barbecue, but I was like, I think someone's gonna pick it, so I was like, I'm not gonna roll there. I'm doing, like I said, bacon, egg, and cheese on and everything for breakfast. I think for lunch, you do a crab roll, or not crab, a lobster roll from like the Northeast.
It's fair.
I think that's very American.
Market price.
A little butter on there. What's that?
Market price.
Yeah, hey, he can afford it based on this contract. And then since he's in Miami, it's not really a dinner, but my favorite sandwich in the world is a Cuban. I think it's a great way to introduce him there. And I think dessert has to be like a brownie sundae or something from like an old confectionery style like setup soda jerk place that's still around.
You laughed at me. You basically got
meal.
the same dessert, except that I put a cookie and you put a brownie.
No, I think I was laughing because you were specific. Like it was Toll House.
Well, I don't know. That's what they call it. That's what it is at the restaurant.
There was a place growing up that had a really good Toll House cookie pie, and I think that's what he's
Okay.
going off of.
I slapped Dylan's spoon so he would drop the last piece one time with my spoon so I could get it. That's how good it was.
Big brother behavior. When you said that, I envisioned, like going to the mall in the '90s where there was that like cookie
They're still
cake
there.
places.
They're still there.
I was thinking about that. Okay, haven't been to a mall in forever. Messi. The one thing we know is if we're his dietitian, he's getting fat pretty quick. Let's do this last section I wanted to talk about. Michael and I, a few pods back, we broke down some transfers and we gave them grades. Since we talked U.S. men's national team, I wanted to get your guys' take on grades from the sense of the player itself. Are they going to get to play? Do you think they're a fit? That type of thing. Are you excited for them to go there? You can give whatever reason it is. Let's start U.S., and then I do have a few that are Premier League based that I want to ask as well. First things first, I think it's the biggest news out of everyone in the U.S. Pulisic to AC Milan. There's already videos out of him training with them. It looks like he's picking up some Italian. Already joked that they can call him whatever he wants just because they're close to Croatia. He's changed how you pronounce his last name, I saw as well. Nick, I'll go to you first. How do you like the fit? Are you excited for him to be in the red and black in Italy?
Yeah, I got to give it an A minus. I think it's a great transfer just because he wasn't playing. Period. I think just from that perspective is great. I mean, it's tough. You got to follow up the Lion Zlatan with number 11. It's always tough to be the first guy to wear the. But
I saw that too.
Yeah. But he just again like any big transfer, you're going to be revitalized. The guy that obviously knows how to play can play the game well. He should get an opportunity to play. Milan had a few players, attacking players that had left. So it's a positive, and with, as I'm sure we'll get to in a second, his fellow U.S. men's national team teammate will be there. Will help smooth over any concerns or fears.
Which one?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Isn't Weah? Oh, he's going to Juve. Never mind.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. All right, my bad.
I mean, there's some
I'll
rumors
edit it.
about 2
I'll edit
others
it out.
showing up, but I didn't know if
Yeah.
I was like,
apologies.
do you know something we don't know?
Yeah,
I was making sure you were paying attention. Duh.
Yeah. No, we're
A
listening.
minus. I think it's great just because just sheer playing time. Which when he when he plays, he's damn good.
Yep. Dylan.
An A, because Olivier Giroud, they link up like no other, and we're gonna get lockdown Pulisic back, and I'm very excited for that.
Great point. I think people forget that during COVID, he was running rampant, and I think he was playing with Giroud a ton. The other thing that I was reading is he's going to be opposite of Leao, most likely, in the starting 11 if he gets there. He's also going to get minutes at the center attacking position, where he always says he feels the most comfortable, just because Brahim Diaz is now back in Real Madrid, and Drew, yes, will probably play, but I mean, he's getting up there in age as well. So I think I was a B, and reading some of the stuff, I was a B+. So we're all around the same range, B+ to A- to A. Let's stay in Italy. Nick, you kind of exposed the next one, Tim Weah, heading to Juve. Dylan, I'll start with you, just to punish Nick.
I'm gonna give it a B. Mostly because I don't know. I think he's gonna play. I'm just afraid they take away what makes him fun as a player. Like, there's a chance all of a sudden they have him playing, like, let's say right back or something like that. Just because that's what's their coach's name? Whatever he does, I should know this, but it's whatever he does this. So like I'm afraid he might get, like, I think he'll get playing time. I'm just afraid he's gonna get handcuffed and not be able to be the player we see when we're watching him on the national team. I hope that's not the case, but I think it's a good step up for him. In terms of like progressing his career, I hope he gets to be the same player, which is why I made it a B.
Yeah, Massimo Allegri is really high on him. I think that's why he ended up in there. Nick, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I had the same. I think it's exciting. It's obviously getting to play at a huge historic club is really exciting. No European football, so playing time might impact playing time, obviously. But Allegri is the concern I share with Dylan. Is he's notorious for playing the old school Italian 90s style of, the more defensive minded, which may or may not stunt. Most likely could possibly. So I'd give it a B. I'm with Dylan there. I think it's a great opportunity, but there is a little bit more concern for a step back or not allowing to grow as much as we would like.
I'm gonna shock you all.
A+.
I'm an A- with this one. I actually think it's a positive. So everything that I've read, and I have read a lot about this, because now I am fully bought into Tim Weah as one of my favorite U.S. men's national team players.
It took you this long?
I think, yeah, no, I've always been there, but now I'm expressing it on pod, which makes it official. I understand your guys' hesitancy. I do think the dynamicness, which I said on the last pod and is still not a word, is the difference maker for Weah. I think he's quick and powerful off the ball and on the ball and can run. He's going to basically take all of Cuadrado's minutes. That is not at Juve anymore. He's going to play a ton. He is going to play probably wing back a little bit more. But I think it's going to be key for us as the U.S. men's national team, because when we need to put a game away, we put him there. And he's done very well. That's actually where he played for Lille as well. And I think that he's going to get opportunities on counterattacks to play offensively. And I think if he can actually bring that element to our team as well, just in the transition, it'll be huge. It'll be huge for us. Brendan Aronson, the Philly guy, going to Berlin. Nick, what are your initial thoughts there outside of the badge is trash?
Not a believer that you can give more than 100% on anything. So I'm going to give this an A+ with extra credit. Just know that's how excited I am for him. That it's not possible to go more than 100, but I think the fact that he got relegated, was going to be playing in the championship, and now is going to get the opportunity to play Champions League football. Obviously had an outstanding first appearance for them, putting a ball in the back of the net. And as we said last week, American players tend to do pretty well in Germany. I think that they wouldn't bring him in on loan if they didn't think he could do something for them. And also, they're obviously be playing a lot more games than they're used to, so they're going to expect him to play, and he's going to get some really valuable experience. This is probably the winner of the entire team.
In your mind?
Yeah,
love it.
Definitely.
Dylan, he's a former Philly Union guy. What are you giving this one?
I'll give it an A as well for a lot of what Nick said, like going from the championship and getting relegated to playing some Champions League football. It's not a bad thing. He gets to play against his brother now as well. So I think that's always good just for the Aronson family to not have to make multiple trips to different countries. They can just go hang out in Germany, which is always nice for the fam. And I think his game translates well to the Bundesliga, in my opinion. So I think it's going to be a good experience for him.
I agree. I appreciate, Dylan's the heart and soul of this podcast, always thinking with empathy for other people and for families, getting to stay in Germany, making it easy on them. Hopefully Paxton also gets some development, because 2026, man, people forget, it's 2.5 years away. You could have two Aronsons on the U.S. men's national team, by the way.
Yeah, he's a stud, by the way. He scored in their first exhibition match, in case you weren't following.
No, yeah, they both look like they're going to acclimate pretty well. Brendan was in Salzburg before. I got a feeling that he's more familiar coming from the Austrian Bundesliga to then Bundesliga than it was transitioning into Premier League. So I think that he's probably going to fit in really well there. Let's go to the Premier League real quick. Nick, I'm going to start with you. Dylan, you can throw in your 2 cents, but Michael and I did make some disparaging comments about the loan, not the loan anymore. I think you got Onana, right? But
yes.
One of the only pieces of business Man United did, but I got to get your take. Mason Mount, what grade is this?
It's fucking stupid. It doesn't make any sense.
And he's back.
Makes no sense. It makes no sense. Like I get it. Hey, you know what? He's a solid player. He's someone that if we want to do something a little bit different, or Casemiro or Bruno tend to run their mouths or tackle somebody too hard with card. It's depth for that, but if a 10 out of 10 is I'm going absolutely bonkers jumping through the walls, I'm at a 5.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I think what you guys said, it's like he's a good player. Don't get me wrong, but it's like this is the first signing we're making. This is what we don't need to fill. I think exactly you're right. We don't need to fill that. We need a striker. We need a center back, and obviously we got a keeper, so we're good there. But striker should have been the first thing. So yeah, whatever. It's fine. It's squad depth. There we go. It's squad depth. I feel better now. I feel better.
Dylan, any thoughts?
Blazers in. They're just great businessmen, really doing what's best for the club.
They're the freaking worst, dude.
Love it. Dylan, you mentioned the Wolves doing a little bit of business. Give us the rundown on who's coming your side.
I'm currently in the process of a I'm Coming Home YouTube video for Matt Dougherty.
Love it.
When there's financial fair play, you make some big signings for free, and oh boy, are the Wolves doing it. So watch out. Got some defensive depth. There's a lot of talks I see of us potentially getting people that I know isn't going to happen. So I think this is the only thing we're going to do. And apparently Nottingham Forest wants Sa, which because Nick won't give up Henderson. So yeah, I don't know. I think this might be the last season we see the Wolves in the Premier League based on where we're at. Not very happy about things. The good news is a lot of teams around us are getting weakened, in my opinion. And I would very much like West Ham to pay $80 million for Polina.
Yeah. Any ceremony, any pouring out of liquor, alcohol to see Adama Trauma leave?
Did he sign somewhere officially?
Not yet. I believe he's still a free agent.
I haven't done it yet. Whenever it happens, I don't know. That's my first ever Wolves jersey. I got to figure out what to do with that thing.
Burn it. Burn it.
No, I'm not burning it. I'll burn it if he goes somewhere and scores 20 goals and learned how to actually do a cross. That's where I would burn it. That's where I'd be really upset.
It's
Like if he's been sitting on all of this the entire time and it just comes out this next year, I'll be so upset.
The anti-Met.
Basically.
The one other deal I wanted to ask you guys about, and we're gonna get to our predictions probably. Oh man, it might be next pod for the table or the pod after that. But Newcastle, they got Sandro Tonali. You guys may know a little bit about him, you may not, but he runs in the defensive midfield. He's a pretty good player. That midfield for Newcastle is going to be interesting and fun to watch and see if they can gel. Any thoughts on that one?
C.
Nick, we'll start with you.
I mean, I don't know anything about him, but I mean, I'm more shocked that they sold St. Maximin and some of the stuff they're doing. Not to shift the gears, but I don't know anything about this guy, so I can't even attempt to try to fake an answer here on this one. I'm not gonna lie to you.
That's all right. Dylan, any thoughts?
Call it a hunch. I don't think it's gonna work out. Based off of the video, I don't know if you saw it, of his wife and him doing a tour, and his wife saying, "This is nicer than Milan, no?" And he just goes, "No, Milan was nicer." And then, like, I've never seen someone more upset to become a Geordie in my life. From going from Milan to Newcastle, I think there's a major culture shock that, I don't know, I'm sure he'll be fine. They're paying a lot of money. But I wouldn't be shocked if it's a short honeymoon.
I think he'll have a tough time finding a Dolce and Gabbana on the corner to go shopping with on his days off.
They're in the Europa League though, so he'll be able to try. No, they're in Champions League. He'll be able to
He's
travel.
in Champions League.
He'll figure it out. He'll get on the off days. The other thing, yeah, I saw that too, Dylan. It's tough for him because I have been following him a decent amount over the past couple of years. He is a very good player. I think it's a good signing. He did not want to leave Milan. Like, he's a Milan. Like, he came up through the youth academy and everything. And then also, just a quick note, St. Maximin not gone yet. They're just talking. They're just putting feelers out there, Nick. But St. Maximin not gone yet. Don't.
I thought I saw a here we go with it. I thought I saw a here we go.
It might be a here we go. Confirmed that they're both talking, but he's still a Newcastle player as we record right now.
Well, I saw they also made a huge offer for the other striker from Napoli.
Oshiman?
No, not him. The other one.
Kvaradana.
Yeah, I would say there's a lot of consonants there that I can't. But yeah, they put up like $87 million, I think, for him.
Yeah, that'd be a good pickup too. Newcastle making moves.
I also saw there's the rumor. Did you see the rumor about the Saudi players getting loaned out?
I did.
Like Neves coming to Newcastle.
Yeah.
Kareem Benzema and yeah.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
Chelsea's doing shady
also
stuff.
saw that Cristiano Ronaldo just, ironically, on the same weekend that Lionel Messi is announced for the MLS for Inter Miami, says that the Saudi League is so much better than the MLS, that Ronaldo's window's closed in Europe, but the best league is the Premier League and the Saudi League is better than MLS. Odd that's when this came out.
Did you see what happened to him today?
No, what happened?
Well, to go on with that quote, he said it's the quality in Europe has gone down, so my window is closed. Okay, narcissist 2.
Yeah.
They lost 5-0 to Celta Vigo today.
Brother, he is like, this is the thing I have to ask, and I know we wanted to wrap here because we were going under an hour, and I was proud of us, but we live in a world where he can't do anything after he retires, right?
He literally signed a contract to be the Saudi push for 2030. Like, he's going to be there, and he's their ambassador.
Did you not see what he just said?
Soccer. Did you not listen to what John just said?
About the Saudi League and MLS?
Did you not just listen to what John?
I must have cut.
No,
out.
I'll be honest.
I
apologize. That's on me. I was trying to find something because since we were talking about Newcastle, I wanted to throw something down Nick's throat, and I just found it.
Got it.
So, but I don't want to. I just
Go
clearly
ahead.
steamrolled this conversation, so my bad.
No, you're good. Let's get the last Newcastle fact before I ask you if you have any bets.
I do, by the way. I just want to compare some signings and how much money was spent by Newcastle and by Man United, if that's okay.
Do it.
Onana, 45 million. Pope, 10 million. Casemiro, 60 million. Tonali, 55 million. Mason Mount,
Close.
55 million. Bruno, 40 million.
Oof.
Sancho, 76 million. Isaac, 65 million.
Oof.
Anthony, 82 million. I don't agree with this one because I don't think. Well, they're both bad. Anthony, 82 million. Gordon, 45 million. This is where it gets fun. Maguire, 80 million. Scar, 3 million. Trippier, 12 million.
Can you just get to where you
Wan-Bissaka,
add them
50
all up and
million.
just tell me that we spent way much more money on less players that aren't as good?
Yeah, I won't say the last two. But yes, essentially, good business and bad business. But I think you guys will figure it out at some point.
Shout out to the Glazers. Shout out to
Sorry,
the Glazers.
I just had to throw that in there.
Also, not trying to big up a guy, but Anthony Gordon,
Yeah,
right?
I was saying Gordon.
Gordon is, if he starts scoring, they'll call him Gordon there. El Gordon. U21 World Cup most valuable player, whatever it was. Did you guys see that? We'll see how that translates. too.
I mean, you can afford some acne medicine.
Jeez.
All right, that's mean. That's mean. People struggle with that. Nick.
Sorry, you're right. I'm sorry. You're
Come
right.
on the
I'm
pod.
sorry, Dylan. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Dylan-
that's. Let me clip that so we can get Anthony Gordon on the pod, bro.
Actually, don't.
Yeah,
Actually, don't. I'll tell you why you shouldn't later, but it's cool.
All right, Dylan, you got some bets. It's the dead of summer, or however you want to describe it. So there's not much going on. But
I'll
give
say
us
MLS
some
is
thoughts,
on
give us some
break
bets.
until August 20th too.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
For real? Oh, they got the Leagues Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was looking for bets. Nick, this one's for you. They already posted. There's only one team you can bet on to win the MLS next year, and it's Inter Miami. They already have those odds up.
I told you that I took
You
them
did
to
this
win
year.
this
They're at
right?
18 points. Good job. Plus 300 next year if you want them, Nick.
Well, I don't know
Might
how
as
many.
well.
I think it's terrible value, but that's there for you. No, the one I'm taking is Slimpy List. Winner of the 2023 Women's World Cup, USA plus 250. If you do this with DraftKings, you can opt in, and as long as whoever you take to win it all, you get $5 for every goal that they score in the group stage. So even if somehow we don't win, I'm pretty positive you can get your money back from that one.
Yeah, I think the Vietnam game will
Like
be
9-0.
Yeah, a lot of goals. The World Cup's expanded to 32 teams for the first time this year, so I think there's going to be some interesting teams in there that aren't going to be up to snuff. So I think that's actually a really great bet for sure.
Golden Boot, Trinity Rodman. I should look that one up actually.
Yeah, I like that. I like the Trinity Rodman bet. I hope that it's gonna be fun. I ordered my women's U.S. national team jersey yesterday. It's supposed to get here before we head off to Philly Friday.
Which one?
I got the paint splatter.
It's a
Nice.
good one.
I like that blue one though, but I want to get a men's player. I didn't get a player on the back for the women's. I support all women. So
You and I, John, can wear our women's World Cup shirts together.
love it. Dylan, what you
I
got
just
there?
found we have the same. Do we want to do the same thing during the Women's World Cup and just keep tally? We can do over/under on goals, corners, and cards. If we want to dabble.
Ooh, what is it?
So the tournament goal, I haven't done any research on this. Over/under 218.5. I think I'm going to take the over. Because I think, to your point,
that's every
every
game.
game. I think you're going to have lopsided
yeah.
games like we were talking about.
Let's hammer that.
All right, we're taking the over there. Corners, I mean, we're obviously taking the over. So we're going to need over 625.5.
Yep. Okay.
I don't know how we're going to keep track of cards, to be completely honest. That's going to be a tough one. I'm going to have to Google those while we go through. Over 175.5. Over under.
Let's just take
over on all
let's
three.
Take the over on all of them.
All right,
yeah.
Perfect. So lock those in as well.
Love it. Perfect. All right. We got the Women's World Cup coming up. Like I said at the top, we're going to be in Philly this weekend. Come find us. If you listen, we'd love to put you on the podcast and interview you and ask you some questions. Dylan, it's been a few weeks since we've been able to close the pod out with a joke. Do you got anything for us?
So you mentioned it's the dog days of summer, and unfortunately, I know you guys are baseball people, but I'm not. So, what time is it when a soccer team chases a baseball team? 11 after 9. Cheers.
The NAFTA podcast.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.